This video has been filmed on the lands of the Gadigal of the Eora Nation. We pay respect to their elders past and present and to any First Nations people watching. As we share our knowledge, teaching, learning and research practices within this university, may we also pay respect to the knowledge forever within the Aboriginal custodianship of country.
So one of the reasons we chose this Tapa for the project was because it does come from a group of Tapa that we don't know very much about. And so it was a way of thinking about ways to approach an object that doesn't have a history that's been given to us. This project allows us not just to think about what can we find out about our objects, but to think about what do our objects challenge science to find out. Can this equipment actually tell us anything more? Can we find this out with this camera? So we went to a Sāmoan cultural worker and asked them, is this an appropriate thing to do to check before we started in on this project?
The word tapa is common in Polynesia for, called tapa cloth, but the actual name in Samoa is called Siapo. So we have three different names linked to Siapo. Siapo vala. So vala is more to do with stencil and upeti, rubbing. And then the mamanu, Siapo mamanu, is the one freehand drawn. And so sometimes there could be a bit of both. Basically, the king of Fiji, when he married into Samoa thousands of years ago, he decided to bring the mulberry tree with him, and then that implanted in Samoan culture the tapa cloth making. There's a Samoan saying, "Tu maufawai ai sui whainga," which means the constitution stays the same, but the materials and everything that you use change. So that could also include the motifs and the way you make it. The Samoan motifs that we use in the patterns are more to do with animals, centipedes, footprints of birds, manu. The actual one that we're looking at, it looks like it's manu. Like manu is a word for animal, but it's particular for bird. The making of the Siapo generally from Tonga, Samoa and Fiji triangle is basically the beating. They start off with the tree, the paper mulberry tree. They cut down the tree, or they used to bite it and then take it off. And then they get a knife or a shower and then they rip off the outer core, and in the inner core is the white. And so that's what sina in our language. Sina is white. So once you get the middle of it, the white, then you roll it up, put it in water, and then you bring it out and you have a board, and then you scrape it with the three different shells. The first shell is to get all the rough impurities off. The second shells are finer, like sandpaper. And then you will find that because how the tree grew and there was branches going to come out of it, there's holes in it. And so then once you get that, then the next process is to lie it down. And after you've beaten it, it just opens up into like a paper. There's the first one is called luffy. Luffy means to hide, so that means in the inside. And then once you've got the luffy, then you put all the starchy glues together because there's holes, and then you patch that up, and then you get the dye, put the dye on, rub it on, and it comes on the wood. One stencil, the design comes out, then they get the clay, and then they get the clay and chip it over it, and then they get the dye again and rub it, and then it gets darker. And then they get another layer, and that's called lafi lunga, the top hidden part. So there's a bottom and a thing, then they fix it, the pino, and then at the end of the day, you rub it all together, and you've got, it's all dried out, you've got one sheet, and that's the Siapo right there.
We were able to see underdrawings in the artworks that we photographed, and also in some of the Tapa mats that we pointed this at. It was particularly good with revealing hidden information in organic material. So as a guinea pig, this was a really good camera. It gave us good results and encouraged us to then move on to purchasing a more serious camera for infrared work.
This kind of research is really engaging for audiences, in part because it's unexpected. You don't think that you're going to reach a new idea about the way optics work and light bounces off materials and how it can be captured, in combination with high-level cultural knowledge about Samoa and the way that Siapos are made and brought together, or any number of different combinations.
It has really opened my eyes to the need for our people and our academics to start looking into the motifs and register designs and use that.
If we can find out as much as we can from a material point of view, then we can give that to experts, cultural experts who know their material culture history, and they can use that to piece together what is the most likely history of this object. And from there we can possibly get to who and where was it made.
Museums and galleries, especially with collections, are really keen to understand and to label things properly. We need to start investigating into the Tapa Siapo culture, and that we need to revive it and keep it going, because it's beautiful, and that it's been around for thousands of years, and that we need to keep it going for another thousands of years. So making a lot of more assets for our people to learn from as well, to share diversity and culture, and to understand each other and where we come from. Our material culture and our language is beautiful,